Hello again for this week's video. Welcome back, my friends. You may have noticed that last week I was not able to publish my regular video. My official job is taking me away from this hobby of mine of providing contents in the YouTube channel, but I'm finally back, and I have some very interesting topics to share with you. Today, in particular, this week, I would like to focus on the possibility to insert customized impulse response even on some devices that does not have officially that functionality. And in particular, I'm referring to the NUX Mighty Air or Mighty Plug MP2. If you have one of those, they are my historical devices, the first love when learning to play guitar. So stay tuned. So I'm gonna show you really something funny. Here we go again. As I said, today we are gonna have a look at the possibility to extend the functionalities of our favorite device. That is, you know that if you are following me since some time ago, you know that I really have been using for a lot of time the NUX Mighty Air. It was my favorite travel practice amp for learning to play guitar. It has effects built in. It is completely wireless. Battery lasts for a long time. So well, but it's not a review. This one, in any case, you know that I've been using it for a long time, and I really liked the possibility to have it available. Okay. This device, compared with some later ones provided by NUX like Mighty Plug Pro or Mighty Space, does not officially have the possibility to import impulse response. This device is a modular as well, and what I'm telling about this one, so the NUX Mighty Air, is also valid for the NUX Mighty Plug, the version, the MP2, not the Pro version, the second version. So that you will find on the website is very inexpensive, but it is similar conceptually to the Mighty Plug Pro, but it has some limitations. It is more similar as functionalities to the NUX Mighty Air. For example, the effect chain cannot be rerouted or something like that, but they are very good in the type of effect, in the reproduction of some effects. They are very reliable. They soon sound really pleasant. Sometimes even better than most modern, more modern devices available from the same manufacturer. Nevertheless, this device is a modular for what is related to amplifier, effects, and so on. And then it uses for the cabinets impulse responses. So there is not a mathematical model like in Fractal or something like that for the cabinets, but impulse responses. So pictures of the outcome from that cabinet when stimulated with an impulse. In particular, these the for later devices like Mighty Plug MP Pro, or I would say any modeler out there right now, even very inexpensive ones, have the possibility to import some custom IRs that you can purchase wherever you want, and you can select your favorite one, and you can use those custom impulse responses with your effect chain whenever you want. These devices have some impulse responses preloaded. There are 16 inside this one in particular, but it is not possible to change them. It's not possible, officially at least, to import custom IRs. But there is there is a way to obtain that result nevertheless, and that's what I would like to show you in this week's video. So the point is this one. So, so the topic, the title this week is how to install custom impulse responses into NUX Mighty Air or Mighty Plug 2. So that's the result that we want to obtain, and that's what we are gonna do in a moment. Okay, to obtain that result, we will need some tools. Of course, a web browser. You see my screen from right here. We need the device itself, of course. So I mean, sorry, this one, of course. We will need a free software that is named Audacity, that is available in audacityteam.org website. This one, I decided to use this one. You will see in a moment why, but just focus on the list. I picked this one because it's a free software, completely free. It's not paid or anything, and it is available for all operating systems, or at least most common operating system, for Mac, for Windows, for Linux, and so on. You will need a computer, nevertheless. In any case, it's not available. We cannot do it using only our smartphone or something like that. So get ready with your computer in case. And also, we will need the Mightier Amp app that you already know, because I have made a lot of videos about that. It is a fantastic app that replaced the official app by NUX, that is Mighty Amp. Don't make confusion. Mighty Amp is the official app provided by NUX. Mightier Amp is the app provided by Tuntori that improves the functionalities, has the same identical functionality of the official app and a lot more. Please take some time to look at my earlier videos for that, because I discussed in details all the possibility of that fantastic app. And also another tool we will need is the Mighty Amp Custom IR Patcher, that is, or NUX IR Patcher, that is again a tool provided by Tuntori as well. So there's the very same developer of Mightier Amp also made available this tool. So well, many thanks to Tori, because you really unleashed the power of these devices, greatly compared to the original version. So we will have a look at all the steps. So please follow me step by step in what I'm going to show you, because this way we can start with that. Okay. To start, we will need to select some custom IRs. I'm not showing you today where to find IRs, which IRs to select, because it's really a personal situation. If you have a DAW that you can use to test your favorite IR, please pick your choice. But consider that any IR we would use, for example, let me show you. I decided to use these ones. I prepared some IRs ready. Four of these IRs are coming from Choptones. I purchased them from their website. So you see, there are a couple of the first two are simulation of IR taken from Mesa Boogie with Shure F357 microphone, for example, and one of those is sort of clean. The second one is more close to overdrive. Then I have Choptones that replicates a Fender cabinet, and the fourth one is similar to a twin reverb clean, so again a Fender cabinet. But these are just an example, so don't look at the titles, it's just to let you know. I picked four of these, and I will show you how to install them, to import them inside our Mighty Air when we want to obtain that particular result. So we will import them in the machine. For doing that, I would like to we need to convert these IRs, because the tool we will use for creating that okay. Sorry, I'm making some confusion. To import the IRs, we don't have a specific software available. It is not possible to import the IRs with a manufacturer software like for the MP Pro or anything else. We need to import them inside the firmware. So we will take the official firmware provided by the manufacturer, patch it, replacing some of the IRs, so it's not possible to add them. They will replace something included. I know it's not fantastic, but of course, this way we can select our favorite ones. We can replace some IRs included in the firmware with the new ones, and then install that firmware onto our machine. And that's how we will obtain the result we want from our device. To do that, of course, we will need also the firmware. I'm going to show you in a moment how to do it, but so follow me step by step. To patch the firmware, we will use the custom IR patcher provided by Tuntori. If you look at the instruction here, in particular, it tells you that the IRs must be in 32-bit floating point format. So they should be in a specific format. The IRs I have, for example, are not saved in that format. Format is always .wav, are always using files .wave, so it's not changing the type of file, it's still an audio file, but it should be converted into that specific format, otherwise the tool will not recognize it. So we will do it using Audacity, the software I mentioned. Okay, to install Audacity, you just need to download it from the website. So you press Downloads, select the version, Windows, Mac, or Linux. On Mac, like for myself, it is still possible also to install it using Brew. I'm not showing you how to install it. Let's skip this part. I'm sure that you are familiar with that. Very easy to install it. I would like to focus on the use of the device, of the software. So let's suppose that you already installed Audacity. Okay, now I have it here. It's open. It's here. And we will use it very simply to convert the IRs we have available to the correct version. So 32-bit floating point. Remember this topic. How can we do it? It's very easy. Just open Audacity, select File, Open. We need to open the file that we have available. In my case, for example, they are on the desktop. So give me a moment. So I'm guiding it to. Just a moment. Yes, here we are. Desktop, custom IRs. As you see, I created two folders, converted and original. In the original, I placed the IRs I want to convert, and in converted, I will save the converted IRs. So in original, let's convert one by one. So select the first one. Okay, let's focus for a moment to this shape, this waveform. That is what we have been imported. You see that from a certain point onward, this line is flat. So the real reaction, the real impulse response is where you see a deviation from the central line. So this first part. One important thing to consider is that the IR you will be using, and that is something that you can easily check from this software. The IR you will be using shall be composed of 248 samples. This again is mentioned here in the description of the patcher. IRs with 248 samples. 248 samples, and it is not written here, but it is something that we can collect. NUX Mighty Air and NUX Mighty Plug MP2 uses as a frequency for sampling 44.1 kilohertz. That is pretty standard as usual. Just keep that in mind. Now let me show you an interesting thing. Let's open a calculator to let you understand. If I take 248 samples, okay, 248. So we sampled 248 points with a frequency of 44.1 kilohertz, so 44,100 times per second. So if I divide this by 44, it is 248 by 44,100, it makes 0.046. These are 0.046 seconds. So it means that the correct length of an impulse response to be used with these devices is about 0.05 seconds, so 50 milliseconds if you prefer. If the sample is shorter, it will be appended with silence, and that doesn't change the result. So the sound you will hear will play perfectly fine. You will not hear any artifact or error or so. But if the sample is much longer, so I mean, if the move the waved part is much longer than 50 milliseconds, and 50 milliseconds is up here. See? So this point, that is after the end of this sample. If the length, for example, let's imagine that this waveform is much longer. It is, for example, it's 150 milliseconds, so until here. In that case, considering that the device can only import IRs of 248 seconds at 44,100 Hz, it will import only 50 milliseconds. The rest will be cut away. This effect will sound really bad, because when you cut the impulse response, you hear a glitch, you hear artifacts, it will sound completely different from what you are expecting. So if you have a long IR, the outcome will not look really fine. You will need to find a way to somehow shorten the IR and make it this is something related to audio elaboration, and I cannot focus on that on this video, but keep in mind this thing. We need IRs that are about 50 milliseconds. The most important thing is that they are not longer. In this case, you see that our IR is more or less long 30 milliseconds, so it's perfectly fine. So I can use it. Let's convert it. I will make the same reasoning for all the rest. How shall we convert it? It's very easy. You see, by the way, let's focus at one thing. You see, it says mono, 44,100 Hz, 32-bit float. That's the format we want. Because, and that is one of the reasons why I selected Audacity as the software for this conversion. The format used here, so 32-bit floating points at 44.1 kHz, is the standard format for Audacity. So when you import a file for elaborating it, it is already converted to that. So it's very easy. It's the common format that this software uses, and that's what we need. So in simple words, we could simply save, but if we save without changes, we will not convert that and we save in the original format. We just need to select File, Export Audio, and here make sure that we can change, of course, the name. I will look at where we save it. So, for example, desktop, let me check desktop, custom IRs, converted. So I will select the folder where I want to save it. I will append a converted to the end of the file, just to remember that it was shared. Make sure that you have selected mono, 44,100 Hz, 32-bit floating points, in case by chance it was not done. Let's make sure that it says entire project, you didn't select anything, and then you just need to press export. Now I'm gonna do it for the rest of the files. So let's open the second one, file, export audio. I'm preparing four of these for the moment, so let me forgive me if I take some time to do that. Then the third one, open, select the third one, file, export audio, again, append the converted word at the end. Again, all the formats are kept, so the folder and all the projects. So if you have a bunch of ARs you want to convert, the easiest way is to do it one by one immediately after, so that you don't need to reselect a lot of things. So only the first, the last one is required. As I said, you see that all of these are more or less 30 milliseconds long, so we are below the 50 milliseconds we are allowed to use without trouble, so they will work. Let's export this one again. It has a strange name, but it is converted, and let's export it. So now we have our converted, you see, WAV files that are the IRs we will gonna import, ready for use. So this topic has been somehow saved. Now you can close Audacity. You will only need it for this. Don't save any changes it mentioned to the file. We already exported what we wanted to do, so always say no, just not to tamper your favorite IRs you saved on your computer. Now it is necessary to patch the firmware. Of course, to patch the firmware, we will download it. So go to the NUX website, to the correct page. Now I'm on the page for Mighty Air, but if you prefer, if you have a Mighty Plug MP2, you can just select the right one. So just go to amplifiers, electric amp amplifiers, and select for example, the page of the Mighty Plug that is here. So it's always the same. So I'm going back to the original page. Here I need to download the firmware. So it's I'm not showing you today how to upload the firmware. Please have a look at the video Guitar 25. I will provide the link here and in the description of the video, where I show exactly step by step how to update the firmware of our devices. So this way you don't need to. I'm not gonna focus on that part. In any case, let's click on support. Here we are brought to manuals, firmwares and software. So firmware and software. We need to download the firmware. So for our correct device, so make sure that you scroll to the right one, Mighty Air in my case. You see that the firmware is available in two versions, for macOS or for Windows. It's not the firmware that is changing, so honestly speaking here it doesn't change a lot for a moment, but inside the package there is the firmware but also the installer of the firmware, and you will need that for updating the firmware. Again, look at the specific video for that. So that's why I'm downloading the Mightier firmware OS. Let me open that. Okay, let's take it and copy it in the same folder where we have the IRs. Give me a second. I would like to keep everything here, so I'm copying it here. Okay, I downloaded the firmware. Now I need to unpack it. You see it's a zip file. On macOS I just need to double click and it is unpacked. Of course, for Windows you just need to right click and say expand it. Inside this will create a folder, and inside the folder, very simply, there are two files. One is the software, the updater, that needs to be installed. I already have it installed, but you can look at this. If you downloaded the Windows version, you will find the Windows version of the software and you can update it. and a .bin file that is the real firmware. What we downloaded here, and the file name is mentioned in it, is the version 2.3.1. By the way, and in the tip, if you prefer to install an older version of the firmware, it is possible because it is the updater is also providing that one. But of course, normally newer firmware means newer functionalities, so I don't think that you will need to use the old one. In any case, let's keep it in this folder. Now it's time to use the AR patcher provided by Tuntori. By the way, one important thing I would like you to do. If you Google NUX IR firmware, you will, NUX IR patcher, you will be brought to this page on GitHub. Take note of this, please. So focus on this one and try to visit it. Because this one is the official page of GitHub provided by Tuntori, and from here it is also possible to donate something from here. Consider that all this software he is providing are provided for free in his spare time. And by the way, Mightier Amp application we have mentioned before is also provided for iOS devices, and to make it available on the Apple Store you need to pay every year $100 for that. So he's also spending his own money to give us that software completely free. So the only income that he can have for his job, for his work, is some donation that we can do on his GitHub page. So please consider that if you are happy with that software, if you use it frequently, and you would like to show a real thank you to this great friend that is providing this software for free. Well, as you see here, also there are some description. It tells you with which software, with which firmwares it is compatible, and I would say any firmware available for our devices. Also, there is the link to the page I showed you before, where there is the real tool. The real tool is very straightforward. You see that it shows the list of the 16 IRs already included in our devices. This list is identical for Mighty Air or for Mighty Plug 2, so no differences. And with their names, these names are exactly how they appear. So let me detach the title, this way you can read everything. These names, so I'm referring to these ones, are exactly as they appear in the list you can select from the app, from within the app. Okay? By the way, if you use Mightier Amp app, I'm gonna show you later how to do it. You will also see that these areas are separated by the type. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are IRs for electric guitar cabinets. In fact, V412, of course, is a Vox 4x12 device. The following four, 1, 2, 3, 4, these fours, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, are for bass. And all the others, all the rest, the other 7 IRs are a simulation of acoustic guitars. So what I'm gonna do, very simply, is to replace, because we need to decide what to sacrifice, what we want to replace. As I'm not a bass player, I will replace the 4 IRs for bass, for electric bass. Of course, if you need them, you need to make your choice. So it's up to you what you want to replace. I'm gonna show you an example, and it's easy to apply to what you do. The first step is to choose the firmware. You see that it is required. You just need to choose the file from your steps. So, for example, in firmware macOS, I'm gonna select the bin file. By the way, the tool is very smart, because if you select a wrong file, generally it will tell you, for at least if you select a zip file or something like that. So remember to unpack the firmware, otherwise it wants a bin file. You cannot send to it the zip file. You press open and it is selected. If there is an error, it is shown. By the way, you see it was correctly recognized as the firmware for Mighty Air version 2.3.1. Just to let you see, if I select the wrong file like this one, I get an error, invalid firmware file. So you will not, it should not be so easy to make a mistake. So let's select the right one. Then we need to do the same for the IR files. I'm gonna replace the best ones, this one, as I told you. And for anything of them, I'm gonna select choose. Let's go to the converted folder where I have all of them and select one by one. This one, the second one. By the way, you see that when they are selected, it shows you in green which one will be replaced inside the firmware. So let's do that. By the way, let me show you an example. If you select a file that is not in the correct format, again, 32 bits floating point, like for example, if I take one of the IRs without the conversion, you will see that you must use 32-bit floating point wave files. It will tell you I cannot use that file. So that's why it is important to convert them before, otherwise you will get this error. By the way, I tried with 20 different IRs from different providers. None of them was in the correct format. But as you have seen, with Audacity, it's very simple to convert them. When you have done this and you're happy, maybe if you made a mistake, you can clear that specific line and keep the original one. So okay, and keep the original one. So let's select again the first one that was supposed to be there. Consider that if no file is chosen, the firmware will keep in that position the original IR. All you are selecting will replace what is in there. One point, I'm anticipating and spoiling something that I'm going to show you a little later. If you look at the name of the IRs, they are still in the original way, and that's how it will happen. But after we will update the firmware, it will be possible within Mightier Amp, the other application, and I'm going to show you that as well. It is also possible to select the correct, change the name. This way it's easier to find out. So now you need to press process and download. Let's click it. And you see that the system downloaded the file. So let me open the folder, selecting again, move it to the recent folders. Sorry to give me a moment. I'm always in difficulties when using go recent folders. Okay, for example here, let's download it here. You see that now we have Mighty Air version 2.3.1 IR mode, so it says that the firmware has changed. So now we have finished with the patching of the firmware that we are going to use. The following step is effectively patch the device. So let me show you, for example. So I'm gonna patch the firmware in our system, and that's something that I think you would like to see. I'm not gonna show you the details. So I'm taking a break, updating the firmware, but I would like just to show you very simply how it is supposed to be done. You just need to connect the USB-C port on the back of the device. So if it is Mighty Air, it is on the back. Mighty Plug 2 has it on another side. Then I'm connecting that to my computer. It depends on yours. let me turn on the device, and then you need to prepare the device ready for update. So it's very simple. For example, for MP2, you need to keep the preset selector button pressed while you turn the device on. For the Mighty Air, to put it in firmware upload modality, I need to keep pressed tap and turn it on. It will blink in this strange blue for that, and then I can perform the update. The update is done very easily with the official NUX device updater that is gonna recognize the device very easily. Now I select the file that is, in this case, the one already patched. Okay, give me a second. Here. Here, okay, this one. I have to select the patched one, of course, because I want to upload that one. You see that the software for the moment doesn't have problem. It recognized the firmware as the 2022-1201, that was version 2.3.1. So for the firmware update, there are no particular changes compared to what happened. So it's very easy to make this kind of upgrade. And then I need just to press start update and performing the update. I'm not gonna showing you these steps because, as I said, I already did that thing. In any case, so I'm taking a break for a moment before that. But what I would like to do before this update is to let you hear very simply how the device was playing before with the selection of the present IR. So if I select now to show you the screen on my smartphone, I think you can see that. I'm opening Mightier Amp. Oh, sorry, let's put it in the right way. Mightier Amp. It will connect to the device if I turn it regularly on, simply. So let me scan, connect to Mighty Air, and you see it was connected. And if I go into a chain and select the IR block, look at the screen on my smartphone. I'm sure you're familiar with this functionality. I have the same identical list you have seen before. You see that what we decide to replace are the IRs 9, 10, 11, and 12. That are the bus cabinet IRs. So they are something I would like you to to let you hear. So it's possible probably to let you understand what has changed in this topic. So I'm putting the device, I'm connecting the device to my audio card, so this way I should be able to let you hear something from this. Well, let's see. Okay, it's connected. I will stop the background audio, and I will try to select one of those, in particular the first one. Let's keep it in mind. I'm gonna let you hear it immediately after patching the firmware. So here it's how it sounds when with a clean amplifier like a deluxe reverb. So a very simple patch. Let's detach also the reverb. Just the IR with the AGL DB810. Okay. Now I will patch the firmware and return in a moment with the other sample, with the comparison sample. Upgrade finished, so I'm rebooting the device. This way it can be started again. So I'm returning it off on connecting again to the transmitter. My guitar is ready. Again, let's have a look let's connect again from Mightier Amp. Select the same pre-selection, so turn off the reverb, amplifier is still the NUX reverb, IR select again the AGL-dB, but now I'm sure that if I let you hear it directly from here, you will immediately feel that the cabinet is completely different, much brighter. It's changed. So the IR is really different compared to before. And that is something that you can fine tune. Of course, you need to select the right IR for the right purpose in the right system. So that is what you are supposed to do. Let me close some windows because I would like to show you one last thing on my smartphone. If you look at the screen, I am in the page for IR block in Mightier Amp, not Mighty Amp. So make sure that you are using the correct application for this. Again, provided by Tuntori. It's on the Google Play Store. It's in the Apple Store. So it's not something that requires side load, jailbreak, or something. It's an official app. So it's official. Sorry, it's a well well available app in the official store. So there is no reason not to use it. It's safe and it works in a fantastic way. You can take a lot of time in my channel to look at videos about this app. My first 10 or 12 tutorials are related to the use of this app. You see that in the IR page, there are some interesting things I would like you to focus on. There is a link to the NUX IR patcher. So if you want to use that one, you don't really need to remember even the path because it is mentioned in the app. So the connection is here. But a very interesting thing is that there are two buttons, rename cabinet and reset name. This way, I can select this cabinet, so the number 9 AGLDB 810. As I told you before, these ones are some IRs I took from for Mesa, so I can select whatever name I want, but I could try to keep it as close as possible to the version. So let me move here. Oh, sorry, I'm not in the right. Give me a second. I'm collecting again the right page. So in this folder we created, in the converted ones, you see the first one was the Mesa Boogie for with the cap. So I can rename the cabinet as Mesa Vogue, for example, cap for once. The second one, so the 10, I can rename it in another way, like Mesa Vogue, Mesa Vogue, and in this case, OD, overdrive. Then I have the other two that are, okay, this one, I could rename it like Fender 1, for example. There. And the last one, we can rename it, we can rename it as Fender twin reverb, for example. There are a limited length, but you see. This way, I replaced some IRs and I can select names that are easier for me to remember. Consider that when you create a preset in your system, so the link is to the number, the position of the IR. So changing the name here is not disrupting any of your presets, information, or anything else. So everything will go on working without particular troubles. Just select what you prefer. By the way, you can use it also for replacing also the other names. For example, if, as you know, that the number 7 TR212 is a twin reverb 2x12 cone. You can rename it as that, like twin reverb 2x12, for example. This way, it's easier to remember. So it's already something useful that you can leverage nevertheless, but especially when you are replacing some IRs, even better, because maybe the names are not significant anymore. Consider also that, for example, we have 7 acoustic IRs available. If you don't really need them, you can replace some of them. So you can select whichever IR you want to replace. And if you are not happy with the rename, for example, I'm renaming this one and changing the name like, I don't know, Goofy. I don't know. I can reset it. If you press reset name, the system, the app will replace the original name that was already in the firmware. So it's really practical, very, very useful, in my opinion, to leverage these functionalities, and I would not skip these possibilities. So to recap what we did, we selected some IRs, so pick your favorite ones. To choose them, you will need to invest some time. Convert them using Audacity to 32-bit floating points format. This way they can be accepted by the patcher. Then download the firmware, patch it using the NUX IR patcher provided by Tuntori. So get it from there and make sure that you are using the right one. So patch, select the firmware, select the IRs you want to replace in the right position. Sorry, let me remove the title. Download the new firmware, install the firmware to your machine, and you're ready. And from within the Mightier Amp app, the official Mighty Amp app does not allow to do this, only the app provided by Tuntori. In the Mightier Amp app, you can replace your IRs, and you can create your preset using also those IRs. For example, if you are completely into metal, you only use electric guitar heavy IRs, and you want all of them, you could even replace all the IRs you have in the device. Of course, you will lose some versatility, but you can tailor the device to your specific need. And frankly speaking, I think it's a good option. Honestly, the IRs I showed you, I've been using them for some time on other devices. I really like them because they add some clarity. And to be honest, I'm really astonished by the power of these little machines, because really the Mighty Air and the Mighty Plug are so I don't know how to tell it, are so natural, so reliable, so believe they really sound like the real thing, in my opinion. Well, of course, considering the small size, I don't believe that, I don't mean that this amplifier can replace a tube amplifier 4x12 or a 12-inch cone or something like that. Nothing like that. I'm only referring to the pleasure of hearing that sound. They doesn't sound so artificial like other devices. NUX made a great job here, and believe me, if you're using the right IRs, you will feel really well the result. By the way, the first two I selected, for example, that are coming from a Mesa Boogie, when I use them together with an overdrive or a distorted amplifier within the presets, I can immediately feel that they have an added clarity compared to the original ones. So the built-in IRs are good. They are very good in my opinion, but it is still possible to improve them, especially considering that the IRs are really personal. I don't I don't know anybody. No, I don't know two people that prefer the same identical IRs, because what you feel, what you prefer, if you want to favor clarity compared to, or even if you want strong bass because you want to feel a hard punch when it plays, it is something really personal, and everybody have their own choices on this topic. Of course, if you use high quality IRs, the result is very good. I mean, it's not a wasted time you uploading custom IRs into these devices, because they are using them very well, in my opinion. If we had devices that are not able to elaborate in their DSP IRs in a correct way, in a pleasant way, makes no sense uploading a custom IR, maybe an expensive one because you needed to purchase it, because in the end the result will not make you happy. But here, in my opinion, it's worth it. Of course, remember one thing: we patched the firmware, we installed a patch firmware. Remember that patching a firmware and installing a patch firmware is always a risky step, because if something goes wrong in between, your device may not turn on anymore. And also consider that if you do a damage installing a custom firmware, your warranty is definitely void. The manufacturer will not repair the device for free or something like that. So you are informed about that, you are warned, I told you, but it is something that is written anywhere. It is written also on the page by Tuntori. So what I mean is, if you are damaging, you're doing this at your own risk, sorry for that, but if you're damaging your device following this procedure, I'm not responsible for that. So take your risk if you want. I decided to do it, and I think it was the outcome made me happy. So I'm fine with what I was able to obtain, but it is up to you, and you need to take your choice in this. So, being said this, I wanted to warn you. Don't believe that you can try uploading the firmware hundreds of times. It is risky. Don't do it unless you know exactly what you're doing. Okay, being said this, as you may have noticed that in this video I never showed you where to find IRs, I didn't show you how to update the firmware, because there are specific videos for that. For IRs, there are a lot of sources online. I personally really like IRs provided by Choptos, but this is not an advertising. I'm not paying for anything that you see. All the devices, all the software, all the IRs I showed you are paid with my own money. They don't even know that I exist, probably. So I'm not endorsed in any way. I'm just telling you my taste, but pick your choice, whatever you like. There are a lot of sources, Robbie Rocks, Leo Fender. There are a lot really of online sources for very high quality IRs. Pick whatever you like, or if you have some IRs you could export from other machines that you really like, why not? You can use those as well. You just need to convert it in the right format, patch the firmware, and install the firmware. And that's all. For this week's, that's all. Thank you very much for watching. If something was not so clear, I know that it is. There were many steps in this video, so feel free to ask me for clarification if something was not so transparent, so clear to you. I'm open to any feedback. So if you have critics that can help me improve, they are more than welcome. I will not get offended if you tell me something, even negative, if this can make me improve in my future contents. Please evaluate subscribing to the channel. That is the main feedback that tells me that what I do is appreciated by you and you found it useful. Feel free to give me any feedback. They are all welcome. I always replying to any comments. So thank you again for watching and stay tuned for the next video. Bye bye.